Welcome everyone to another episode of Burn Coverage, Week 8 edition.
Week 8 edition, halfway through the season.
And I'm Curtis.
I'm Joel.
And we're going to start with the segment with some quarterbacks that we liked this week. Joel, you want to go ahead and lead off here?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start off with Eli Manning. All right, so Eli's had a rough streak of games. He hasn't cracked 200 yards in the last 2 weeks. The last time he did crack 200 yards, 3 weeks ago, he actually threw for 440 yards and 3 touchdowns, however. And now he gets to go against the very well burnt coverage, documented, god-awful Rob Ryan-led defense. New Orleans has given up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks this season. The only quarterbacks the Saints have not given up multiple touchdowns to are the terrible quarterbacks known as Brandon Weeden and the most awful quarterback on the planet, Jameis Winston. The Vegas set the over-under at 49 points, so it's going to be a very high-scoring game. It's in the Dome, which means it'll probably be a lot of Drew Brees goodness as well, but I think they're going to be in catch-up mode all day, which means a lot of passes. Lack of running game really helps this. Price is $6,600 on DraftKings, $73 on the Duel.
First of all, the Bucks beat the Saints. I just want to throw that out there.
I didn't say that they didn't beat them. I just said that they have... Jameis Winston threw for 0 touchdowns.
This is for another day.
Okay.
Anyway, Eli, ODB's been kind of hobbled recently.
He has.
Does that worry you at all?
No, it doesn't at all, because Ruben Randall continues to pretend to be a professional football player. They have a capable tight end in Larry Donnell. Shane Vereen has slowly been worked into the passing offense, which I think pleases a lot of people.
You're really grasping at straws this week. Eli?
Eli.
For you?
For
Eagles
me.
fan?
Eli, for me. It's not about my personal fandom here. I'm here to win my legion of my peck of fans dollars.
I feel this is more your hatred of Rob Ryan than...
that's a close one. I don't know who I hate more, Eli Manning or Rob Ryan. I guess in this case I hate Rob Ryan more.
Wow, interesting.
I love his dad though.
How much was he again?
66 on DraftKings, 7,300 on FanDuel. So he's middle of the pack there.
Well, for my money, if I may segue, for 6,600 in DraftKings, I can get the guy who is first in passing yards, first in completions, first in attempts, and second in TDs. It's not Eli, it's Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is playing the worst defense against the pass, the Baltimore Ravens. They've given up the 5th most passing yards, but the most touchdowns so far. And now as we've seen, Phillip Rivers time and again has put up big games. In fact, he's averaging for the season 350 yards passing, and with the quick, short-lived life of Melvin Gordon, one of your favorites, I know. Sorry about that. Melvin Gordon never really amounted to what he... I mean, maybe he'll come back one day, but it ain't going to be Sunday. And he's been replaced pretty much completely by Danny Woodhead, who had, if you watched the show last week and played Danny Woodhead on my advice, congratulations. He had 10 catches and 2 touchdowns. He's been replaced by Woodhead and Brandon Oliver in the offense. Oliver actually had 75 total yards last week too. And a lot of those are, a lot of these passing targets are going to the running backs, as we know that greatly helps their high percentage plays for the quarterback. They get a lot of yards. And then we're also seeing Keenan Allen have a breakout year this year. He was a little hobbled last week, if you call hobbled 8 for 90, which is lower than we've come to expect for Keenan. But they're also getting back Stevie Johnson. Stevie Johnson had 8 targets last week. They still have Malcolm Floyd. I know Gates is questionable this week, but Ladarius Green filled in admirably. I should have done my vocal warm-ups. Admirably for Antonio Gates last week. He had a touchdown, and he actually had 2 two-point conversions, which I know you do get points for. I know it's not touchdowns, but I count that sort of like a red zone target. He's a big guy. If they're that close, obviously they're looking for Green there. So just a lot of targets. Rivers is playing the best football of his career, which is saying something. Rivers has had a pretty decent career. So 6,600, same as your Eli. FanDuel's got on or picked it up 8,500. So you're paying for Rivers there, but against a terrible Baltimore defense, I think it's a good play.
The best football of his career. Did you watch that game last week? They looked pretty. Like all of his points game in garbage time, and we're big fans of garbage time fantasy points here, but they got blown out of the water by Oakland last week, and the only reason he's averaging that much is because they're constantly having to play catch-up mode, and with the lack of running game, Danny Woodhead getting 10 catches does not create a running game. That does not constitute a running game. Brandon Oliver is 5'0", weighs 100 and nothing. So no, eventually this is going to catch up to them. They're going to face a defense that, granted, this Baltimore Ravens defense is not the Baltimore Ravens defense that we're used to. But no, I don't see this as being the strongest value play of the week.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen this week. And if he's averaging 350 for the season, I mean, what's his floor? So
200.
If it's 302, you're still getting a good value on 6,600. And as far as the Chargers as a team aren't a good team, and that's because of their defense and lack of consistent running game. I'm not saying that they have a great running game right now. I'm saying that the people that they do have in the running game are actually just glorified short receivers.
Yes.
So that helps Phillip Rivers.
But it helps him in the short term, but I just don't know that it's something that I want to bank on a week-to-week basis, because it's a consistent fluke to me.
Well, consistent fluke. It just seems like every week he gets some fluky 350-yard performance. I'm not going to be able to buy into that one. Second and touchdown. So, I'll keep riding for that price as the fluke keeps.
I mean, I like the reemergence. Stevie Johnson came back last week, and he was still moving a little slow, a little hobbled. But I think the presence of him really helps. Keenan Allen's having an amazing season, as we all know. But I like the receivers. I just don't know that I like the play.
The fluke will be if Eli has a good game with Dwayne Harris and Ruben Randall.
Side bet.
Larry.
Side bet. I guarantee that Eli Manning throws for more yards than Phillip Rivers.
I'm in.
Right,
what are we doing?
Side bet.
20?
20 bucks.
20 bucks.
Side bet.
And
20 fantasy points. I mean,
barring injury on
this
either
is
side.
For entertainment purposes only.
Barring major injury on any side.
No barring injury. No,
Right,
it's either a bet or
I'm gonna go
no caveat.
break Eli's knee. I'm gonna Tanya Harding that knee. You just lost $20. Eli, you already won what you're gonna
But
win.
if you Tanya Harding Eli's knee, I still win because he's still Eli Manning and I don't like him.
Oh, damn it. Should've thought that
Win-win.
through.
Next. That's me. I'm going to go back to the well of Matty Ice. Matty Ryan. Going a bet against a questionable NFL team, a questionable defense, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Tampa Bay has allowed 8 touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Quick math, I'm here to do that for you. That's 4 touchdowns a week. To the quarterbacks, those Hall of Fame quarterbacks that they gave up 4 touchdowns apiece to, Blake Bortles and Kirk Cousins. Matt Ryan's home road splits are very well documented, and now he's home to the defense that has given up the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. Matt Ryan at home against Tampa Bay's run defense is average. Their pass defense is non-existent. So 7,100 on DraftKings, $8,000 on FanDuel. I try to stay away from Matt Ryan when he plays on the road. I try to find him into a couple lineups whenever he's playing at home. This is one of those home games.
And I'm a homer, and I hope if you have a team, you'll always root for your team, and even regardless of fantasy, play your fantasy picks, even if they're playing against your team, but always root for your team. I think you still feel that's the essence of football. However, I thought Matt Ryan was a good play. We sometimes have overlapping guys that we come into our pre-show meeting, and Matt Ryan was one of them. A couple things, quick hitters on Matt Ryan here too. The Tampa has the most points scored against them this year in the NFL, so that's something. And the Bucs are surprisingly good against the run. They're top 10 against the run. I don't know if that's an aberration because people can throw at will against them, but I'll just throw that out there. For me personally, I still haven't got over September the 18th, 2000. 2014 when my Bucks went to Atlanta the last time and were beaten 56-14 on Thursday Night Football. Matt Ryan that game, 286 and 3 touchdowns. Of course, it was a blowout at halftime, but so most of that was done at the half. Julio had 161 and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I get a little nervous when we have to go up and travel. We usually do, or Bucks usually put up some sort of a fight against their division opponents, but last year it did not happen that game. So yeah, Matt Ryan, unfortunately.
All day.
Pretty decent play.
And Charter.
And I'm gonna throw one more quarterback out there for you. He's actually playing in the Sunday morning 9:30 game. If you got up last Sunday morning and watched the Buffalo Bills Jacksonville Jaguars game, you need to reevaluate your life. But if you do have no life and you did watch that game and
you saw an actual football game.
Yeah, it was actually fairly exciting. A little back and forth. Alan Hearns had a beautiful, Mr. Alan Hearns, one of my favorite picks on the show, beautiful game-winning touchdown.
5 straight weeks with a touchdown.
There you go. And now we have the Chiefs and Detroit going against each other, and so I'm picking Matt Stafford against the hapless Chiefs secondary. Stafford only 5,800. And usually they kind of, I see that they bump up the prices for quarterbacks in these Thursday and Sunday morning, Monday night games. It seems like they're a little higher than they're supposed to be. I think Stafford's actually lower than he should be. He's 7,500 in FanDuel as well. I think a lot of that's to do with he suffered an injury in the last game. He injured his non-throwing hand. But a lot of people see injury hand, they're like, oh, he's not going to be able to throw. Well, it's not his throwing hand. And if anything, when quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks with big arms, get injuries, they'll usually put them into the shotgun. I think we're going to talk about another quarterback in a second too that could have that kind of opportunity. So playing in London, so no real advantage for either team there. However, the advantage for Stafford is the Chiefs have allowed the 10th most passing yards and the 2nd most touchdowns. And Matt Stafford has no run game to speak of. Everybody was high on Abdullah, including me, early in the year. We thought maybe Joy Bell would come back and be effective, but that hasn't happened. Their best running back's really been Theo Riddick, and that's just receiving the ball. And they're actually dead last in rushing the ball, even behind my beloved Chargers Phillip Rivers running game. And of course, Stafford still has all the weapons. He has Calvin Johnson, he has Golden Tate, he's got a healthy Ebron who's produced pretty much week in and week out except for his injuries, his 2 weeks with the injury. So I think Stafford, especially if you're going to wake up and watch a game, the floor is really, really high, I think, on Stafford this week.
I don't know about that. I think the reason that his price is so low is because they now have a new offensive coordinator who has absolutely no track record in the NFL, but he does have quite possibly the greatest name in the history of all professional sports. Talking about none other than Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter, NFL offensive coordinator.
And, you know, if you're out there and you think that for one reason or another you can't succeed in life, one thing's holding you back, weight, height, name. Jim Bob Cooter has made his way in this world and is getting paid quite well to work for the Detroit Lions. So don't give up hope.
Yes, I think when your parents name you Jim Bob, I think they're anticipating you having a role making moonshine in the backwoods of Tennessee somewhere, and not coaching offensive football in Detroit. But we'll see. I just don't know what his game plan is going to be. I think the goal of these mid-season changes for teams is to try to reinvigorate some life into teams a la the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
But I just don't, without a track record to go on, I'm not willing to take that risk yet. Calvin Johnson is not Calvin Johnson anymore. He's not Megatron. He's a good receiver. So that offense, nothing about that team scares me. The only thing that scares me is the person that I don't know who's calling the plays.
Well, I'll say this. They don't change offensive coordinators because they're putting up a lot of points. They change offensive coordinators, and so to get points. So if you're coming in new, I think you're going to be airing it out, and who better to air it out to than Calvin Johnson, old or new, Golden Tate. So I don't expect this to be a run-oriented offense by any stretch, especially against a team, the Chiefs, that are actually decent against the run and bad against the pass. So
we'll see.
And I did want to touch on another injured quarterback playing this week, possibly Ben Roethlisberger.
Big Ben back.
If you watch some of our segments, we're going to be a little soft on the Steelers, surprisingly, and that's not going to happen for the rest of the year. But we're still kind of unsure about Roethlisberger. We both picked like Alshon Jeffrey when we thought he was coming back, Deshaun Jackson when he thought maybe he was coming
gun
back.
shy with the injuries nowadays.
Yeah. So, but if he does play, if it's Sunday morning and you're putting together your tickets at the end. For me personally, I see something, and I'll let you say what you think is going to happen.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I won't say what Joel thought.
I'll let you speak.
But Roethlisberger, I think there's going to be a lot of shotgun involved in his offense, especially with his receivers, just so he doesn't have to move too much from under center, and that means he's going to be throwing a lot. And Joel thinks it's going to go one way. I think it's going to be a lot of vertical passing. We're going to see Antonio Bryant and Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant stretching the field, and with that shotgun setup. So I'm excited about that for big yardage.
And see, I just think that it's going to. I do believe it's going to be a lot of shotgun. But I think because of the injury that Big Ben's coming back from, he's going to be wearing a knee brace for the first time in his career, that it's going to be a lot of short passes. I don't think they want any pass rush to get within 5 yards of Big Ben, so it's going to be a lot of Heath Miller, a lot of Le'Veon Bell on the swings. So I don't see, I'm sure like Big Ben is Big Ben, so he likes to take his down the field shots, but I just think that most of the game is going to be predicated upon those short 5-10 yard passes. So there's no contact on Big Ben for this first week.
And that might be true, but either way, he's going to be throwing it. And,
yeah,
and we
I mean,
think
if he plays like I'm in, it's just a matter of who's going to be receiving his passes at this point. Mm-hmm. That's what I would question.
And it'd be hard for me to I don't know, just playing any of the individual players, like, it would be hard. You have to believe in one philosophy or the other.
Yeah.
If you think Le'Veon Bell's going to get a lot of catches, you probably don't think he's going to run a lot, so I don't know if I play him. If you think it's going to be a lot of deep balls, maybe you think they're going to, I don't know. It's confusing, but if Roethlisberger does play, then he's probably a decent play, and I would try to squeeze him in, at least a couple of flyers, just to try him out.
Yeah,
try him out there.
Check the injury reports in the morning on Sunday.
Yeah, kick the tires on him a little bit.
Just don't kick his knee.
All right, that's once again another segment of Burnt Coverage, a Week 8 quarterback edition. I'm Curtis.
And I'm Joel.
And we hope to see you in our next segment.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Thank you. See you soon.